Incorporation and sovereignty. Ukraine is a country located in Eastern Europe. It is bordered by Russia to the east, Belarus to the north, Poland, Slovakia and Hungary to the west, Romania and Moldova to the southwest, and the Black Sea and Azov Sea to the south. Ukraine is a member of the Commonwealth of Independent States. Capital: Kyiv. The official language: Russian and Ukrainian. 42.7 million people live in the country, but after the country witnessed a separatist tendency in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions and the annexation of Crimea by Russia, the population decreased dramatically. 77.8% of Ukrainian origin, with large minorities of Russians, Belarusians and Romanians. Ukrainian is the only official language in Ukraine, while Russian is widely used. Religion in Ukraine. The Ukrainian Orthodox Church is the national church of the Ukrainian people. Christianity. As for the Jews, the proportion of Jews in Ukraine is approximately 1.4%, and this came in light of the presence of about 43,000% in the Republic of Ukraine as a whole. And considering that the population of the state is 45 million people, and the Jews have been in Ukraine for hundreds of years and have lived through many fluctuations and changes in the country and at all levels in Donetsk Oblast. As for the 27 provinces of Ukraine, they are 1 Kyiv, 2 Dnepropetrovsk Oblast, 3 Kyiv Municipality, 4 Kharkiv Oblast, 5 Lviv Oblast, 6 Odessa Oblast, 7 Luhansk Oblast, 8 Republic of Crimea, Independent Territory, 9 Zaporizhia Oblast, 10 Kyiv Oblast, 11 Vinnytsia Oblast, 12 Poltava Oblast, 13 Ivano-Frankivsk Oblast, 14 Khmelnytsky Oblast, 15 Cherkasy Oblast, 16 Zhytomyr Oblast or Zhytomyr Oblast, 17 Zakarpattia Oblast, 18 Mykolaiv Oblast, 19 Rivne Oblast, 20 Sumy Oblast, 21 Chernihiv Oblast, 22 Kherson Oblast, 23 Ternopil Oblast, 24 Volyn Oblast, 25 Kirovorad Oblast, 26 Chernivtsi Oblast, 27 Sevastopol Independence Date of establishment August 24, 1991 from Kyiv Rus 882 about the Kingdom Volonia Galicia 1199 about the Hetman Cossack 1649 about the Ukrainian National Republic November 7, 1917 about the Western National Republic of Ukraine November 1, 1918 Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic December 30, 1922 Declaration of Sovereignty of the State of Ukraine July 16, 1990 Independence from the Soviet Union August 24, 1911. Ukraine's economy is an emerging free market economy, and it grew rapidly from the year 2000 to 2008 with the onset of economic recession all over the world, and affected Ukraine in what was known as the 2008-2009 Ukrainian financial crisis. The Ukrainian economy rebounded in 2010 and continued to improve until 2013. From 2014 to 2015, the Ukrainian economy went through a downturn, with the gross domestic product, GDP, in 2015 just over half the value it achieved in 2013. In 2016, the Ukrainian economy began to grow again. By 2018, the Ukrainian economy was growing at a rapid pace, reaching nearly 80% of its size in 2008. Customs and traditions in Ukraine. The customs and traditions of the Ukrainian people are characterized by the difference, and they have deep origins in the Tribelian culture, which is on a large scale with the main events of family life such as wedding, birth, baptism, funerals, etc., as well as seasonal rituals that came from ancient pre-Christian times, which are related to agricultural activity, and its general role, and often all religious rites are repeated with pagan rites. The origins of Ukrainian traditions. The role of Ukrainian customs dates back to centuries old, but at the same time it is still less popular nowadays. Most of them are rooted in the Christian religion or historical conditions that made Eastern European culture differ greatly from the Western side. Ukrainians pay great attention to observing traditions, because they are unique from its kind and very strange, sometimes even silly. Jump over fire Ukrainian Kupala Night. It is a holiday associated with the period of the summer solstice, during which celebrations are established on the night of July 7th every year. During this time many magical plants grow according to legends. That is why Ukrainians believe that whoever finds a fern growing in the woods will be rich and happy for the rest of his life. Girls put wreaths in the water, and whoever swims her wreath first will marry soon. Another important ritual is to light fires. And the belief here is that these fires have healing powers that purify from sins or cured of diseases. Hitting the family with willow branches. On a Sunday which is called Verbna Nedelia, people celebrate the date of Jesus' entry into the city of Jerusalem. In Western countries this day is called Palm Sun. But due to the lack of palms in Ukraine, locals replaced it with willow branches. There are ancient customs that suggest hit the family members with a heap of willow, as the sacred willow has purifying power and heals all diseases and evil spirits. Easter eggs in Ukraine. In the spring, during preparation for planting, the Ukrainian people sing special songs to welcome this season. Easter is one of the most important public holidays in Ukraine, and this holiday is associated with the tradition of making special Easter bread and painting Easter eggs, Pisanki. Still, the tradition of painting eggs Easter is very popular, and everyone can take part in Easter egg painting classes and learn more about this art. Sharing knowledge on September 1st. The academic year in Ukraine begins on September 1st. This Soviet-era day called Knowledge Day. It is a kind of school entertainment program, where students make various performances. From congratulating teachers and lecturers at the beginning of the school year and sharing knowledge, it is one of the greatest Ukrainian customs that has been around for decades. Ukrainian daily habits. The Ukrainian people live in their own country, where daily life is sometimes unpredictable and stable. And they have learned to live with laws and obligations that change constantly. The influences of the Orthodox Church in Russia, as well as a long history of turbulent economic times, unstable governments, and adverse climatic conditions, it generates a somewhat lethal approach to life. Wedding traditions in Ukraine. As for family customs and traditions in Ukraine, the wedding ceremony is an interesting and complex matter, and it begins with the so-called bride's ransom, as the groom asks for the bride's hand from her parents. And traditional weddings in Ukraine are loud and cheerful, characterized by jokes, music and dance, and in the past, the wedding ceremony lasted for a week. And now it is limited to 1 or 2 days only, and in all celebrations, national costumes and cuisine take on the main role. The dress for Ukrainian women at wedding ceremonies consists of several elements, the most important of which are the embroidered shirt zabaska, traditional skirt, kryka, traditional belt. Young unmarried women wear vinoyati, crown of flowers, while men wear a shirt and belt, wide pants, and a long belt. Language traditions in Ukraine. The Ukrainian language is the dominant and main language in the country, and it is a language that has its origins in the Eastern group of Slavic languages. In the early medieval era in Kievan Rus. Top image. Getty Images. When Vladimir Putin destroyed peace in Europe by unleashing war on a democracy of 44 million people, his justification was that contemporary Western-leaning Ukraine was a constant threat and that Russia could not feel safe, developed, and existent. But after weeks of bombing, thousands of deaths and the displacement of millions of refugees, the question remains, what is the goal of his war and is there a way out of this situation? What does Putin want? The objectives set by the Russian president at the beginning of the Russian invasion seem to have been curtailed during the war, which he assumed would end in a swift victory. Putin could not even admit that it was an invasion or a war, preferring the phrase special military operation. But what is clear is that he sees this as a pivotal moment in Russian history. The future of Russia and its future place in the world are at stake, said the head of foreign intelligence, Sergei Naryshkin. As for the Secretary-General of the United Nations, he said that the war in Ukraine is now adding a new and terrifying dimension to the current state of global hunger, as it has led to a massive decline in food exports, and increased the prices of basic foodstuffs by up to 30%, threatening people in countries in Africa and the East Middle. The war saw oil prices rise to their highest level in 14 years. This has led to high rates of inflation and economic deflation globally, but for the energy-rich Gulf countries, the good news comes after 8 years of economic stagnation caused by low oil prices and the corona pandemic. The International Monetary Fund predicts that oil-exporting countries in the Middle East will generate an additional $1.3 trillion in oil revenues in the next 4 years. Crises and inflation increased tensions. Many countries in the world felt the impact of the grain shipping disruptions following the invasion of Ukraine. But the Middle East was among the worst affected. About a third of the world's wheat comes from Russia and Ukraine. And some Middle Eastern countries depend on these two countries for more than half of their imports. War-torn Libya and economically fractured Lebanon have been hit hard by unrest in the export of grain, along with Egypt, one of the world's largest wheat importers. Finally, we hope that this war will end and peace will return to both countries. If you like the video, please press the bell button and leave a comment to receive all new. Thank you, dear followers, for passing by and watching.